Mr. Speaker, Canada is facing a crisis at its border. Last year, the RCMP intercepted over 20,000 people crossing the border illegally into Canada. Well, thousands of people respect the rules and wait in line. But this government is allowing thousands of others to cut in front of the line. Why do law-abiding families end up having to get processed later than those who cross illegally? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we are continuing to ensure the integrity of our immigration system. Whether people arrive in a regular or irregular fashion do go through security checks. They go through a very rigorous process. Canadians can trust that the rules of our immigration system will be applied throughout the process, regardless of the way that someone arrives in Canada. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Well, Mr. Speaker, so far in 2018, 6,300 people have crossed illegally into Canada. That's a rate of more than 60 people per day, worse than in 2017. Now, this is a crisis that takes resources away from those families who are trying to come to Canada the right way and prioritizes queue jumpers. Can the Prime Minister explain to those families who have been waiting patiently for months for their turn to become proud Canadians why he's prioritizing those who are jumping the line?
Well, Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Canada is signatory to international conventions. That means when people arrive in our country, we process them in a responsible, rigorous way. That is how Canadians expect us to do it. That is exactly what we are doing. Suggesting that we are somehow, we should instead be ignoring our international obligations and conventions is simply not what Canadians expect from any government.
Mr. Speaker, immigrants are crossing our border illegally, and the issue is not at all resolved. Every day sees massive increases in the number of illegal crossings to Quebec. This has been going on for over a year, and as usual, the Liberal government is making official statements while being unable to back up their statement with any concrete proposals. So my question for the Prime Minister is simple. What is he going to do concretely to deal with the thousands of asylum seekers crossing the border? Honourable Minister of Immigration. Mr. Speaker, Canada is an open and welcoming country to those who need protection. However, our government is determined to ensure that we have orderly immigration.
$3 million for faster processing of asylum claims and border security operations. We've worked with the province of Quebec, who have done a lot to deal with this issue through the Intergovernmental Task Force on Irregular Migration. We've responded to provincial issues, and we will continue to work to make sure that this issue is addressed properly.
The Honourable Member for Richmond-Athabasca. Mr. Speaker, the problem of illegal border crossings has been known for over a year now, and nothing has changed. Last year, there were over 20,000 unofficial crossings into Canada, and nearly 90% of those happened in Quebec. Spring is just starting, and there have already been 6,373 cases, including 5,609 just in Quebec. So at this rate, the number of illegal immigrants will double by the end of the year. What will this government do to stop this illegal situation? The Honourable Minister of Immigration.
The party opposite would have you believe that they actually care about border security. This is the party that cut $390 million from the Canadian Border Services Agency, jeopardizing border security operations. This is the party that cut refugee health care for the most vulnerable people, pregnant women, victims of torture. This is the party that did that. This is the party that as recently as March 22nd, when it came time to stand up for the Yazidi survivors of Daesh atrocities and vote for $14 million budget towards those services. What did they do? They were missing in action. They voted against it.
Honourable Member for Calgary Nose Hill.
Mr. Speaker, no one is is disputing that the Prime Minister has a really, really expensive plan to deal with this issue. In reality, though, it's not working. No matter how much he spends, more people are illegally crossing the border every day. Exactly. The only criticism that he has of our former government, which, by the way, did not have this hashtag Welcome to Canada problem in managing our borders, is that we weren't expensive enough. Why does the Prime Minister think it's fair to prioritize hundreds of millions of tax dollars we don't have on illegal border crossers instead of stopping the flow?
Right. The Honourable Minister of Immigration.
Mr. Speaker, the member opposite is on record as calling on our government to spend more money for faster processing of asylum claims and border security operations. Budget 2018 delivers exactly that. But what is absolutely irresponsible is for that party to preach us on border security when they cut almost $400 million from the CBSA, jeopardizing the same border security that they are complaining about now. This is the record that we will put up against their record any day.
The member for Calgary-Nose Hill.
I don't think our former government had 400 people illegally entering Quebec every day. Just saying. Every time we point out that the Prime Minister is allowing the flow of illegal border crossers to dramatically increase, they talk about how much taxpayer dollars they're spending. It's kind of like having a hole in your roof during a storm, but your plan is to replace the hardwoods every day. Why is the Prime Minister prioritizing Canadian tax dollars on making it easier for people to illegally enter the country, stay here for years with social benefits, instead of stopping the flow?
Great. Minister of Immigration.
Mr. Speaker, what a responsible party does is invest in border security. We have done that with Budget 2018 with an investment of $173 million in border security operations and faster processing of asylum claims, $74 million for the Immigration Refugee Board so that refugee claims can be had faster. They don't have that record. Their record is leaving us with a massive backlog in asylum claims at the IRB. Their record is leaving us with less border security operations as a result of cutting almost $400 million from CBSA. They have a shameful record on this issue, Mr. Speaker.